Imagine standing on the battlefield, surrounded by 70,000 fellow slaves, ready to defy the might of Rome. This was Spartacus' reality, a man who dared to challenge the Roman Empire. But how did one gladiator rise from captivity to become one of Rome's greatest nightmares? They say that history is written by the victors, but some names, like Spartacus, transcend death. His life, his rebellion, and his legacy have inspired countless generations, standing as a powerful reminder of the human spirit's unbreakable desire for freedom and the courage it takes to stand against tyranny. But Spartacus wasn't born a legend. His journey began in a place far removed from Rome's grand halls, a place where no one expected greatness to emerge. Spartacus was a Thracian, born 111 BC in a rugged land known for its fierce warriors, modern day Bulgaria. Thrace, with its harsh landscapes and battle hardened people, was a region in constant conflict with the Roman Empire. Spartacus' early years remained shrouded in mystery, but one thing is certain: he was no ordinary man. His strength in body, mind, and spirit set him far apart. At some point, likely in the 80s BC, Spartacus found himself caught in Rome's tightening grip, probably after fighting in the resistance with Thracian guerrilla forces, where he gained valuable experience in irregular warfare. He was forced into Roman military service in the auxiliary forces, further honing his combat skills. However, whether through desertion or capture during a military campaign, his fate took a dark turn when he was enslaved. Shackled and stripped of his freedom, he went to Capua, a city synonymous with blood and spectacle. There, in the brutal training grounds of a gladiator school around 73 BC, Spartacus' transformation truly began. The arena, a place of death and violence, was designed to break men while keeping the masses distracted with entertainment and satisfied with blood. Yet for Spartacus, it became the forge that tempered him into something Rome had never seen before. Under the searing Italian sun, Spartacus honed his fighting ability and leadership skills, mastering the weapons of war not just as a soldier, but as a slave forced to fight for his life. But deep inside, the fire of rebellion continued to kindle, a fire that would soon erupt. In 73 BC, the chains could no longer hold him. Spartacus, along with 70 other gladiators, seized the moment, culminating in a revolt that would later become known as the Third Servile War. With nothing more than kitchen knives and crude tools, they overpowered their captors and escaped into the wilds of southern Italy. Armed with stolen weapons and supplies, they retreated to the slopes of Mount Vesuvius, where they gathered strength both in numbers, in training, and in resolve. From the heights of that ancient volcano, they struck back at their oppressors, employing guerrilla tactics that Rome had never anticipated. Guerrilla warfare, hit and run strikes, Spartacus turned the very landscape against the Roman Empire. Each victory sent shockwaves through Rome, not just because of the skill displayed by the former gladiator and slave, but because of who he was leading. He wasn't just commanding soldiers, he was leading an army of oppressed and desperate men. Word spread quickly. Disillusioned peasants, escaped slaves, and even former soldiers began flocking to Spartacus. As the rebellion grew, so did its audacity. Thousands of slaves flocked to Spartacus' banner. Men and women who had once been broken by the Roman machine now found new hope in this Thracian warrior. They saw in him not just a leader, but a symbol, a living embodiment of their desire for freedom. By the height of the rebellion, Spartacus commanded over 70,000 men, a force that terrified even the might of Rome. But Spartacus was not driven by bloodlust. His goal from the start was simple: freedom. He didn't want to overthrow the Roman Empire, he wanted to escape it. His plan was to lead his army north through the Alps, where they could disperse and return to their homelands. For a brief moment, freedom seemed within reach. He knew Rome's strengths and weaknesses, and for nearly 2 years he made them bleed. His victories shocked the Republic, and soon Rome's laughter turned to fear. And then something changed. Something that history has never fully explained. Spartacus turned back. Some say his men wanted revenge on Rome. Others say that they couldn't agree on their next move. But whatever the reason, the decision to turn south would change everything. Rome, humiliated by their inability to crush the rebellion, called upon one of their most ruthless generals, Marcus Licinius Crassus. Crassus was a wealthy, powerful, and merciless soldier and general. He wouldn't make the same mistakes his predecessors did. With a massive army at his command, he set a trap for Spartacus, cornering his forces in southern Italy. Spartacus knew he was outmatched. His army, once filled with hope, was now desperate yet again. But Spartacus didn't surrender. He never surrendered. In one final bold move, he rallied his men for a last stand, a furious charge against Rome's lines. The battle that followed was brutal, bloody, and unforgiving. Spartacus fought like a lion at the very front of his army. He fought not just for victory, but for freedom, knowing full well that this would likely be his end. And in the chaos of that final battle, Spartacus was slain, but no Roman ever claimed to have found his body. With Spartacus dead, the rebellion collapsed. Crassus captured the surviving rebels in a chilling display of Rome's power and crucified 6,000 men along the Appian Way. The message was clear. Rome would not tolerate defiance. But even in his death, Spartacus' legacy refused to fade. His story became a symbol of resistance, a beacon of hope for those oppressed by tyranny. Rome, for all its might, could never erase the memory of the gladiator who dared to stand against them. Centuries later, Spartacus remains a figure of enduring fascination, inspiring countless retellings across modern media. The 1960 film Spartacus with Kirk Douglas became an iconic portrayal of this rebellion, cementing his image in popular culture. More recent adaptations, like the Spartacus television series, offer a grittier, more complex view of his struggle, while books and documentaries continue to explore his impact. Spartacus symbolizes something deeper, a timeless embodiment of resistance, defiance, an unyielding spirit, and the refusal to be broken by tyranny. As we stand here today, thousands of years after his death, we can still feel the echo of his rebellion. His fight wasn't just against Rome, it was a fight for freedom itself, a fight that continues in many ways to this day. By refusing to accept the chains of his fate, Spartacus may have lost the war, but he secured something far more enduring, a place in the hearts and minds of all who believe in the power of freedom. His legacy teaches us many valuable lessons. Spartacus demonstrated that true leaders emerge in times of adversity, inspiring and uniting even in the most dire of circumstances. He showed the power of unity by bringing together slaves, gladiators, and rebels from diverse backgrounds, proving that even fragmented groups can achieve greatness when they fight and unite for a common cause. His defiance in the face of injustice reminds us that standing against oppression, no matter how impossible it may seem, can have an impact far beyond the moment. And lastly, although he was defeated, the ideals he championed, freedom, dignity, and resistance to tyranny, endured long after his death, influencing revolutions and movements throughout history. If you found Spartacus' story as compelling as we did, hit the like button and subscribe for more epic tales of history's greatest warriors from war and wisdom in history. See you in the next chapter.